On this trip so far, our original plan of completing the Leicester Ring was thwarted when Ratcliffe Lock at the end of the River Soar was closed for repairs. Instead, we turned around at Loughborough and slowly made our way up the river again, enjoying the lovely weather. We had over a week to get back to our marina, where Jack was booked in to be taken out of the water for maintenance. But this plan too was about to change. On the night of the 21st of September, Leicestershire was hit with violent thunderstorms. By the following morning, the River Soar was rising quickly, and the Canal and River Trust put the river section between King's Lock and the River Trent under a red, strong stream warning. This means you should not travel, and locks may be padlocked shut. If you do travel, your insurance may be invalid. Fortunately, Jack was on a good mooring with bollards outside the waterside inn at Mount Sorrel. But realising we may be stuck for a while, we rang our daughter, who came to pick up Fiona and the dog, while I stayed to look after the boat. The water rose surprisingly quickly. Luckily, a boater moored on the opposite bank knew the area well and gave me lots of helpful advice. I set alarms overnight so I could check the ropes. If they became too tight, they could sink the boat. There was a water level marker board on the lock just downstream, so I could track the river levels. After increasing for about 3 days, the height of the river began to drop. But unfortunately, a few days later, some more rain fell and the levels rose again. On the 27th of September, a CRT notice announced that Thurmaston Lock, upstream from us, was broken by the floodwater. So we couldn't get off the river going downstream due to the lock repairs at Ratcliffe, and now we couldn't go upstream either until Thurmaston Lock was repaired. I later heard that some boaters had tried to make temporary repairs, which may have made matters worse. Fiona began to research the local marinas. Days turned into weeks, and still the rain kept coming. I was worried that the boat might float over the towpath. I even marked the water level required to cause that on the fence opposite. Thankfully, this never happened, but the rapidly fluctuating levels meant I didn't want to risk leaving the boat. The waterside inn kindly let me use their loo to save me filling our toilet tank, although we also made alternative arrangements by buying a camping toilet. I had plenty of water on board, and Mount Sorrel has good shops and pubs, so things could have been a lot worse. Finally, in the second week of October, the water levels dropped and no rain was forecast for the following week. Fiona had arranged that once the red warning was lifted, Sir Alby Mill Boatyard would give Jack a temporary mooring until Thurmaston Lock was repaired. As the water looked almost normal, she came to join me on the boat, and as luck would have it, that very afternoon the strong stream warning was lifted. Finally, we were able to move.
There's Beryl. I'm waving at Beryl.
Oh. See ya. Good luck. I'll send you a text. Let me know how you get on. Cheers.
We stayed on the boat that night, and Dave at the boatyard put it round the corner for us in the morning. After 16 days stuck at Mount Sorrel, I was able to go home. However, although the floods abated for a while, our next big problem was lock closures. To return to Welton, we needed to get through Whetstone Lane Lock before the end of October, when it was shutting for repairs. Due to the weather, Thurmaston Lock didn't have a timescale for reopening. A couple of weeks went by before the CRT issued an estimate, the 1st of November, and no, they wouldn't be able to hold up the closure of Whetstone Lane Lock to let boats get off the river, as they had too many arrangements in place. Sadly, we made the decision to give notice at Welton and look for another marina this side of the closure. The only one available was Leicester Marina. Now all we needed was for Thurmaston Lock to be repaired so we could get there. The lock was eventually opened on the 5th of November. A couple of days later we waved a grateful goodbye to Sarby Mill Boatyard, who had helped us so much after the floods. Leicester Marina turned out to be a great place to moor, and we made many friends there. And we can highly recommend Nick Thorpe at MGM Boatyard next door. Whilst we waited for the winter stoppages to run their course, he carried out the maintenance and repairs we were going to have done at Welton.